I'm Boo, the woodland caribou with Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society, CPAWS for short. As you may know, recently CPAWS, along with 8 other leading conservation organizations, signed the Canadian Boreal Forest Agreement with the Forest Products Association of Canada. It's comprised of 21 forestry companies. This is a huge step towards saving Canada's magnificent boreal forest and my species, Canada's woodland caribou. And because this is such a significant event, I, like many other CPAWS friends and followers, wanted to learn more about it. So I sat down with Aran O'Carroll, CPAWS' National Manager of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs, and also one of the key negotiators in the agreement, to ask him more about it. So if you want to learn more about the Canadian Boreal Forest Agreement, then watch this interview.
Actually participated in the negotiation of the agreement from day one in the spring of 2008 right through to the announcement a few days ago. The conversation from CPAWS' perspective began in 2007 with a meeting with Aran Lazar, who's the CEO of the Forest Products Association of Canada. I sit with Aran Lazar on a federal government committee called the Forest Sector Sustainability Table. And there we're looking for sustainability solutions for the forest industry and for conservation. Following one of those meetings, we sat down and had a conversation about whether boreal woodland caribou are the centerpiece for the resolution of the Boreal campaign. And we agreed that they might be, and we started a conversation at that point. Well, it's an agreement that's really based on a whole host of different influences on boreal conservation across Canada. So it's culminating in years of campaigning, both by the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society and by our conservation allies. And the economic condition of the industry, policy developments both at the federal level as well as provincially across Canada. And it's really the coincidence of all those various influences that created the conditions for the agreement. The biggest barrier to overcome, without a doubt, was the historic relationship between the conservation community and the forest industry. So the 9 conservation groups participating in this discussion and the 21 companies had a lot of historic animosity between them, stemming from relationships that have involved blockades, litigation, public campaigning, and we had to overcome that to get to a place where we could have a real conversation about our mutual interests in resolving conservation of the boreal. Well, the immediate benefits are the establishment of a new paradigm for conservation about how industry and the conservation community can truly work together to find joint solutions. That's probably the biggest initial achievement. But more practically, for woodland caribou, we get the immediate deferral of 98% of critical caribou habitat in the operating areas of the FPAC member companies. And for companies, they get the immediate deferral of active market-based campaigns by groups such as Greenpeace. This offers hope to preserve our vision of Canada as a wilderness nation. We're talking about a very large area of globally significant wilderness, and here we have virtually an entire industry supporting our demand for conservation of boreal wilderness in Canada. Well, the agreement is an agreement to work on a number of issues, and we're going to get down and we're going to work together with the forest industry and other partners on finding solutions for logging practices, for boreal woodland caribou conservation, for new protected areas and other issues in that 3-year period. Is it enough? No. It's a very significant first step, but the fact of the matter is that woodland caribou are found throughout the boreal, and we need the participation of governments, including Aboriginal governments, other industrial sectors, and the Canadian public to ensure a total solution for woodland caribou conservation across Canada. There is a lot of boreal forest in Saskatchewan and a lot of woodland caribou habitat, but the fact of the matter is that there aren't a lot of operations from FPAC member companies. So we have a very limited initial footprint of FPAC members on Saskatchewan, but our hope is this is an open agreement. We're going to be looking for other parties and we're going to be looking for other participants. And we hope we can grow the supporters for this agreement in Saskatchewan so we can get a solution for boreal conservation throughout Saskatchewan for the woodland caribou and the boreal as a whole. The most significant potential weakness for the agreement is that it's really a new relationship, and so it suffers from all the weaknesses of any relationship. We've got 3 years to do an awful lot of work together, and that's going to involve an awful lot of hard conversations and reaching out to others. And so our biggest challenge is going to be holding that relationship together over those 3 years as we pursue our joint goals. Well, Indigenous groups were not involved in these negotiations because there are negotiations between two historic adversaries, the forest industry and the conservation community. In our negotiations, we were very mindful of the fact that our work would have to respect Aboriginal rights and title and the aspirations and interests of First Nations communities across the Boreal. Now that these historic adversaries, the forest industry and the conservation community, have an agreement to work together, one of the first things we're going to be doing is reaching out to those First Nations communities across the Boreal as we implement this agreement.
So Aran, if someone wants to learn more about the Canadian Boreal Forest Agreement, where should they go?
They should go to the Canadian Boreal Forest Agreement.com.
Excellent. And if you want to learn more about woodland caribou, go to caribounew.ca. Thanks, Aran. That was great.
You're welcome, Boot.